Welcome to the first episode of Real Talk with Sarah. I'm your host, Sarah Roberts, and I am so excited to be here with you. In this first episode, it is all about the food, because I believe that if we can get our food right, so many other things can fall into place. But with all of the misinformation and mixed messages out there, food has become confusing. This episode is designed to wade through all of that noise and get rid of the overwhelm we feel when it comes to our food by sharing actual tips and strategies you can begin using today so that you can start noticing changes in your health as early as tomorrow. It's that good. We've got Holistic Nutritionist Natasha Villeneuve here to help us wade through all the conflicting information and teach us what's really important when it comes to our diets. And later, we're going to learn from mompreneur Korey Kealey on the best ways to stock our kitchen to free up our time to do more of the things we love. So let's do this. Episode 1 of Real Talk with Sarah starts right now. For those of you who don't know me, I got sober at 29 years old, and the shame of both my addiction and my recovery kept me stuck for years. But during that time, I made the connection between my mental, my emotional, and my physical health. And I want to share some of what I've learned with you on this show by introducing you to amazing experts who will help us see what's possible and how to get there so that we can all lead our best lives. I've got holistic nutritionist Natasha Villeneuve with me to wade through the noise and help us uncover the truth when it comes to food and our health. Welcome, Natasha.
Thank you so much, Sarah.
Oh my gosh.
I'm so honored to be here with you.
I am so excited to have you as my very first guest on the show. Welcome.
Thank
so
you.
Let's dig right into it, because we have spent hours and hours talking about food over the years. And so I know we could spend another 100 years, but let's get right into it. If you had to whittle down all of your experience, all of your education, all of your client work, everything you've done in the world of food, what would be the one message that you would want to share with people?
Oh boy.
I know.
I think really it's all about whole foods versus processed foods, right? We tend to eat so many processed foods in North America, and whole foods are critical. They're what come from nature, what our body is designed to digest and break down and utilize for fuel and health, yes. Right? So whole foods, things like fruits, vegetables, whole grains, nuts and seeds, legumes, they contain all the enzymes and antioxidants and nutrients that our body needs. Processed foods are foods that are in packages and cans and boxes that line the shelves in the grocery stores. And they need to be consumed in moderation. They need to be limited. We tend to eat too many of those processed foods, and they're void of nutrients. They're void of fiber. They're just so chemically processed. There's a lot of artificial ingredients in them.
Oh my gosh, it's so true. And even when the package will say high fiber or low fat, and we start to be attracted to those things, it's like we need to remember that that's just noise. That's marketing that's trying to sell us on a product. So
exactly.
I think one of your biggest tips you've often shared with me is shop the perimeter of the grocery store, and that's where you're going to find all the real food.
Yeah. You should be able to, if it's a food that you can grow in your garden, that you can pick up at a farmer's market, those are whole natural foods. Those are the foods that we're designed to eat.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love that advice. That's an amazing message. Now what I want to do, we're going to do some of the hot buttons that are in the world right now. People are really talking about all of these different things like sugar.
Right.
I want to hear from you, from a holistic nutritionist. What's the deal with sugar? What do we need to know? How much is too much? What's going on?
Okay, that's a hot topic, right? That could take us an hour to discuss. Well, sugar, refined white sugar, I think we both agree, is poison to the body. Mm-hmm. It's like a drug. It acts as a drug. It increases dopamine. It increases our blood sugar levels. It causes a quick rise in blood sugar, followed by a crash and a craving and a desire for more white refined sugar. Yeah. So products like white flour, white rice, white bread, white pasta, those are all refined products that act like sugar in the body as well. Refined products have been stripped of all of the B vitamins and the fiber and all those important nutrients, so they're empty food, empty calories that cause so many health problems, inflammation in the body, suppress the immune system, create imbalances in the gut flora, right? So that type of sugar should really be restricted in the diet.
I don't think a lot of people think of eating those foods like white rice, white pasta, they don't think of that as sugar.
Right.
But you're saying it acts exactly the same way on the body.
It's broken down to glucose. They're simple sugars. They're broken down to glucose in the body, which causes a very quick spike in blood sugar levels.
Right.
And insulin is produced to get that sugar in control in the body, right? So foods like complex carbohydrates, your whole grains, will create a much more gradual release of sugar, glucose in the blood, and a more sustained energy. So those are much better options.
Yeah.
The average North American consumes 19 teaspoons of added refined sugar per day.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So tell us then, what are the maximum allotments for kids, women, and men?
Well, kids really shouldn't be eating more than about 4 teaspoons a day.
Yeah.
That's 16 grams.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you'll find 16 grams in just one granola bar,
Yes.
or that's half of the amount that's in a small container of yogurt, a single serving of yogurt at times.
And we're
depending
talking
on the
that
brand.
fruit on the bottom type of yogurt, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So eating plain yogurt, adding your own natural fruit to it is a much better option, right? So people need to look at the packages and read the ingredients and check out the nutrition facts and see how much sugar is in the product.
Now that's interesting because in the yogurt aisle, it really gets confusing. So I often just recommend to people Greek yogurt, plain, organic.
Exactly.
And you're good to go. Add a little maple syrup if you need to add a little bit of sweetener. And then of course
Exactly.
berries are so nice on that. So I love that. But so how can parents of kids, because you have 3 kids.
Yeah.
So what do we do when we've got kids that are craving the sugar, that want it? What happens?
So if you can make your own, that's the best way to go. You know, baking your own whole grain. I like gluten-free, so things like quinoa, and I like to use coconut flour and almond flour, nut butters. Make your own muffins or power bites or granola bars whenever possible. But this is the real world, right? And there's times where I like to do my cooking on the weekends and batch cook and bake, but there's weekends where last weekend I was away at my brother's wedding and it didn't happen. So I do occasionally buy processed foods, but I always try to choose the ones that have more whole natural ingredients in it. I read the ingredients, choose the ones that don't have the chemical additives in it, choose the ones with lower amounts of sugar, and look at the type of sugar that's used as well, right?
Okay, so what would be a good type of sugar to see in a packaged product?
Well, a better type of sugar would be something like honey or coconut sugar, you know, more whole food source of sugar. It's still sugar.
Yeah.
No denying that, but it's a better type of sugar.
I love that you mentioned that you brought it up, because I think a lot of people think so organic cane sugar is better than refined white sugar, and that's true.
Yes.
But it's still sugar. We still have to incorporate it into our added sugar allotment that we allow ourselves.
Exactly.
So 4 teaspoons of added sugar for kids, 6 teaspoons for women, 9 teaspoons for men is sort of
Maximum.
what's recommended. That's the maximum.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, and I think that there are kids out there that are getting more than double the maximum just in their breakfast.
125 pounds per year is the average for teenagers in North America.
Wow. I think if we get rid of high fructose corn syrup out of diets, right? So the soda, all the pop that people are drinking, if we could just make that one change, I think that's huge.
Yeah.
All right, I know we could talk sugar. You know I want to talk sugar forever, but we're not going to. So next one, let's talk about fat. Everyone's talking fat these days, good fat versus bad fat. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, that's a pretty controversial topic for sure. So fats, polyunsaturated fats, which are omega-3, 6 fats, monounsaturated fats, so the omega-9 fats, and saturated fats are all required by the body. We need all of them for healthy cell integrity, our cell membranes, our lipid membranes. So those membranes control what goes in and out of our cells. They need to be fortified with healthy fats. Our hormones are produced by fats. Our brain and our nervous system is predominantly fat, so we need those good fats to support all of those systems in the body. And fat is, I think, the macronutrient that often gets left out unless somebody's on like a ketogenic diet. You know, we tend to forget to include the avocado or the good oils. So incorporating those in the diet is so important. Omega-3 fats in particular, we're very deficient in those in North America, and it's hard to get them through diet. And they're called essential fatty acids because they're essential to the body. We can't produce them, so we have to get them through diet.
So what are your favorite sources?
Flaxseed, so ground flaxseed, cold water fish, chia seeds contain omega-3 fatty acids. And really, the average person doesn't eat very many of those, right? So supplementing with a fish oil is a good idea.
Okay, so let's talk about that, because you brought a supplement here. So this is Sealicious Omega-3, EPA, and DHA. Tell us about this tangerine lime flavored delicious supplement.
So I love Sealicious. It's a Canadian company made right in Toronto by a dietitian who's married to a naturopathic doctor. She formulated this product because she has kids and she wanted a product that was clean. When shopping for fish oils, you need to really make sure that you choose a source that has been filtered and that has been certified, so it doesn't contain any mercury or contaminants in it. It's important that they use the smallest fish because the larger fish tend to be more contaminated.
Right.
And one of the things that I love about Sealicious is their flavors. That's just one of the few flavors that they make, but their flavors are incredible. It doesn't have any fishy taste whatsoever.
None at all?
None at all.
Oh, wow. Because I take the hardcore fermented cod liver oil,
right.
which a lot of people are like, that is terrible, including my partner Roger. He's like, nope, that's not happening.
Yeah, so the omega-3, the fish oil is really good for regulating blood pressure, cholesterol, for memory, focus, concentration, cognition, for heart health, for balancing hormones, for our skin, for our immune system. There's lubricating the joints, reducing inflammation, like there's so many purposes.
And we vilified fat for so long, right? I grew up in the, in the 80s, and I mean, that was, it started in the 60s where it was just everything was low fat, no fat, zero fat.
And sugar got the free pass.
Exactly, sugar got the free pass, even though they knew even back then that sugar was really at the cause of all of these Western diseases.
Yeah.
We've been lied to, and so, oh my gosh, it's so important to have people like you telling us the truth. What about salt?
Salt. Okay, well, salt is needed by the body. Salt contains minerals in it. So common table salt is basically sodium chloride.
Right.
It doesn't contain any of the other minerals that we require. Sodium is required by the body. It's an electrolyte mineral. Electrolytes help with nerve transmission, cell fluid intake into the cells, transmission of fluids in the body. So there's so many purposes for the electrolyte minerals, including energy production as well. And we need all electrolytes, sodium, potassium, calcium, and magnesium, in order for those functions to occur properly. The problem is with table salt, we consume a lot of it. It's in a lot of processed foods, and we're only getting the sodium. Right. So we've developed an excess of sodium and a deficiency of the other minerals. Most people are deficient in magnesium and potassium, and that's why people are getting muscle cramps and nervous twitches and all of these symptoms of electrolyte imbalance. So consuming a whole salt like a Himalayan pink salt or Celtic salt, which is usually gray, will contain trace amounts of the other minerals as well. It's still high in sodium, but it has all of the other minerals that your body needs in addition to the sodium. Right,
so this is just a better way to go. So this is a fine grind Himalayan crystal salt that I know you can find at the Natural Food Pantry.
Exactly.
Which is awesome. What about the controversy that I still feel like it's coming up for people, cholesterol and eggs?
Right, so yeah, it's funny because we had a discussion about that and I thought that's old news.
I know, you're like, do we need to talk about that?
Well, eggs are a whole food, and they're a lot of people consider them a perfect food because of the nutrient composition in the egg. And they provide choline, large amounts of choline, which is actually helpful in lowering cholesterol. Wow. So eating whole eggs, including the yolk, actually helps to reduce cholesterol. It's sugar, like going back to sugar again, sugar is the culprit. White sugar is actually probably the main cause of cholesterol issues and cardiovascular disease. So eating eggs, there's nothing wrong with eating eggs unless somebody's got an allergy, of course.
Can we eat eggs every single day? Would you recommend that?
Depends on the individual. I think everybody, everybody's different, and I really do honor and believe in biochemical individuality.
Sure.
And I think eating anything every day can create imbalances in the body.
Okay.
Because you get high amounts of certain nutrients and become deficient in others. It also can trigger allergies and intolerances in the body. So I wouldn't recommend every day.
Right.
Maybe every other day.
Right.
For the average person, again, it depends on the individual, right?
Yeah. Well, I love that biochemical
individuality.
I love that. Talk to us about greens.
Okay. Well, yeah, greens is my favorite supplement.
Okay.
green products, so there's many companies that make these powdered greens that contain things like barley grass and spirulina, which comes from the sea. Some of them have wheatgrass in them, kelp, concentrated dehydrated vegetables. So these are whole foods that have been powdered, so there is some processing involved in it, but it's really a supplement that provides your body with everything you need. So it has all of the nutrients that your body needs in a food form. And they're very, very alkaline. So all these green foods are very, very alkalizing to the body. Most people are too acidic these days, and acidity corrodes, so it causes breakdown of tissues in the body. It creates diseases in the body, so we really need to work at alkalizing, and greens are one of the best ways to alkalize. Really good for detoxification as well. It's very cleansing because it's high in chlorophyll, and now they flavor them. When I started taking greens, when 20 years ago, more than 20 years ago, they didn't have the flavors. They tasted like grass. And now this one here, my kids will drink it like
the chocolate one?
Yeah, it's like chocolate milk. It's pretty incredible.
Okay, so for people like me who love to eat my vitamins as opposed to take a product, why would I still need to incorporate or want to incorporate something like this?
Well, if your diet is, if you're consuming 12 cups of greens a day and everything, all of the seeds that you need and nuts and whole foods, then maybe you don't need it. But really, in reality, in North America, in our society today, who's doing that?
Yeah, 12 cups of greens. That's a lot of greens.
Right.
Wow. I want to talk about something that I have fallen in love with, something you introduced me to.
Too.
All right, so this is called cultured coconut, and this is a natural probiotic that's not in a pill form, and you have to shake it up really well. But tell us about this product. It's amazing.
So that product is flying off the shelves at Natural Food Pantry. It is by far my favorite probiotic supplement. It's working. It's incredible for people who are experiencing gas, bloating, indigestion, constipation, diarrhea. It's really good at just regulating digestion and elimination.
Okay.
1 tablespoon will provide your body with over 4 trillion units, colony-forming units of bacteria, of good bacteria, and over 40 different strains. So that's by far the best probiotic supplement on the market.
And yet we're looking at different, I was taking a probiotic in the fridge, a very high quality one. It was about $80, but I was comfortable with that because I'm like, this is doing such a great thing for my body. This is like $20 and it lasts a lot longer, and it even says that it's 2 tablespoons as a serving size, but you're saying scale that back, like 1 tablespoon is more than enough.
Because they just sent it away to a really reputable lab in Ireland, and they were astounded by the results. They couldn't believe how much bacteria was in just 1 tablespoon, so they've actually lowered the dose. You'll see changes in the labeling over the next little while.
Oh my gosh, that is so awesome. I just love probiotics. I think that you're going to be coming back on, which is exciting, in a few shows from now to talk about the gut-brain connection and how important our digestive health is. So after the break, Natasha is going to share her incredible story of how she found her calling as a holistic nutritionist. And later, she'll share her day in the life as we're going to get to walk around inside her kitchen and fridge and pantry. We will be back in a moment. Welcome back to the show. I have Natasha Villeneuve with me, and Natasha, you have an amazing story. I want people to hear your story of how you became a holistic nutritionist.
Sure, that's easy. So it all started when I was about 15, 16 years old. I started developing digestive system issues, so I had a lot of bloating after eating meals. I would eat a meal, whether it were lunch, dinner, not so much breakfast, but more lunch and dinner, and afterward I would feel so bloated and so tired. I was only 16 years old and I was exhausted after meals. It was like every meal was a Thanksgiving meal for me. Yeah. So, and sometimes I had to undo the button on my pants because I felt like I was about 7 months pregnant. It was painful. I had a lot of pain in my gut from the symptoms, and inflammation that would wrap around my back, causing back issues. I was dancing at the time, so it really interfered with my dancing, and the energy. It was ridiculous how low my energy would be after eating. And also mood, like depression and anxiety symptoms as well.
And would it be after specific foods? Like, did you ever have a chance to link it at that age?
Well, I ate a pretty typical North American diet, so high concentration of carbs and protein, so meat, potatoes, bread and cheese, pasta and meat, with a little bit of vegetables. So we often had a salad, but it was usually like an iceberg lettuce or maybe a romaine. And if there were vegetables, it was sometimes corn, or we didn't eat asparagus yet and stuff like that. So it was a pretty traditional North American diet with a lot of concentrated foods. And I knew nothing about nutrition, nothing other than what they taught me at school, which was very little, right? In elementary school and even in early high school. And then ironically, and I don't believe in coincidences, but ironically, I ended up at an Anthony Robbins motivational seminar when I was 18 years old, or 17 years old, almost 18. So my parents had bought passes to go see him. He was coming to Ottawa to do this personal power workshop.
Yeah.
He was really big at the time.
Yeah.
And kids 18 and under could attend for free if parents went. So I was not keen. I didn't even know who Anthony Robbins was. I didn't think I needed any motivation at 17 years old. But I went along, and it was a 3-day workshop, and it was life-changing. It was absolutely incredible. And on day 3 of his workshop, he talked about nutrition. So at the time, he was really promoting Fit for Life, which was kind of a trend diet or program that was around in the early 90s. And it was about food combining and vegetarianism and eating more whole foods, more of a plant-based sort of diet. And because the weekend was so moving and motivational and inspiring, I decided to change my diet overnight. Like, there was no going back for me. Next day I was doing smoothies for breakfast and practicing these food combining principles. And within 2 weeks of doing this, following this program, my digestive system symptoms disappeared.
Wow. Did your parents know, because you're 16, 17, so they're feeding the family.
Yeah.
Did they know you were going through all of this?
No, not really. Not really. I was a pretty quiet, shy kid, and I didn't really want to talk about my digestion and what was going on. So I was pretty quiet about it. And I kind of thought it was just normal. Like, I just...
Wow,
Yeah.
you thought that feeling that way was just the way it was.
Yeah.
Because you're 16 and 17 and
Yeah.
you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, I didn't really put a lot of thought into it, right?
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, I was just blown away by the impact of nutrition and how these dietary changes made such a difference in my health and my energy and my mental health and my mental state. So of course I stayed with it. And to make a long story short, I was studying architectural technology. So while I was doing that and working in that field for a couple of years, I would go to work with green drinks in hand and all these healthy foods. And people would be asking me, why are you eating those? Why are you drinking that? And so I would explain it to them. And I was really passionate, and just in all of my pastime, I would read about nutrition and research and go to workshops and seminars whenever I could, and expos. I was in Toronto at the time, so there was a lot more available to me. And then eventually I thought, you know what, if this is my passion, why don't I look into turning this into a career? I'm giving people the advice anyway.
Yes.
So why not get paid to do it?
Absolutely.
Right?
I love, Gloria Vanderbilt gave Anderson Cooper one piece of advice that he really loves her for, and it was live your bliss.
Right.
And I just feel like that's so much a big part of your story. You just went after it.
Yeah.
And you believe that you cured yourself, don't you?
I do. I really believe that today I would have inflammatory bowel disease, so Crohn's or colitis, had I not experienced what I did and made the changes. And from there, I went on to study at the Institute of Holistic Nutrition in Toronto, and that was life-changing. And I tweaked my diet again. I didn't maintain the same diet throughout my entire adulthood. It changed several times, but definitely stuck to more of a plant-based diet and a lot of the principles that I was originally introduced to back then.
It's so amazing. What an incredible story. Thank you for sharing it.
No problem.
If parents have kids at home and they kind of are not sure. Like, I'm just wondering, how could your parents have maybe known what to look for? If there are parents out there that are saying, maybe my kid's having some issues with digestion, is there anything that you think that your parents could have seen that, because you were shy to share?
I was 16, so I wasn't maybe home as much as, but for a younger child, like tummy aches, hard time going to the bathroom, but even, you can take it beyond that, because digestion is linked to everything in the body. So if there's any kind of symptoms going on, whether it's eczema or allergies or asthma, those can be signs of digestive problems as well.
Absolutely. All right, do you want to learn how a holistic nutritionist actually eats? After the break, Natasha's going to share how she does it as a busy mom of 3 young kids, and she's going to peel back the curtain and give us a sneak peek inside her fridge and pantry. Come on back. Welcome back to Real Talk with Sarah. If you're just joining us, I've got holistic nutritionist Natasha Villeneuve with me to share how she feeds her family and satisfies their taste buds while also checking all the right boxes nutritionally. So we're going to take a sneak peek inside your kitchen. You were kind enough to supply us with some awesome pictures. I was so amazed by your fridge picture, because I'm thinking, did she scrub out her fridge for an hour and a half before she sent the pictures? So when we look into your fridge or into your pantry, what are we going to be really looking at when we see inside?
Well, firstly, I think I really try to focus on whole foods. So we were talking about whole foods versus processed foods earlier. You'll see processed foods. Obviously, in the pantry, there's going to be cans of organic beans and grains and crackers. In the fridge, I have some organic salad dressings and condiments and stuff like that. But the majority, my top shelf is usually, and I have it organized, so that my top shelf is usually fruits, more breakfasty foods. I usually have some kind of whole grain bread there for the kids. Bottom shelf and drawers are usually vegetables. And then the middle shelf is usually like leftovers that I've cooked. Freezer will be filled with leftovers as well, because with 3 kids, I like to batch cook and freeze in portion sizes for their lunches. So if I make something like a soup or a chili or a stew or some kind of slow cooker meal, I freeze them in just the smaller glass, like Pyrex containers, and I can pull it out a week later or 2 weeks later for their lunch and heat it up on the stove. So organization is really key. I like to keep the fridge organized. I find if the fridge doesn't stay organized, then food gets lost. It gets pushed to the back, and it usually spoils, and I don't like to waste.
Oh, I know.
I have my own system. And I like to prepare things. So every Sunday, if I can, if the weekend allows, I set aside about 3 hours and I make a salad and I cut and wash vegetables. There's always washed vegetables in the fridge. So usually celery, carrots, fennel, cucumbers, peppers. So the kids can grab them. It's a quick and easy grab and go. If I put it out, often their bedtime snack is vegetables. Vegetables and hummus. My daughter will go to bed with fennel and hummus for a bedtime snack.
Love that. So tell us, are you separating the different vegetables when you chop them? And
I usually just throw it in a bowl and sometimes put a little bit of water in it to keep it fresh and change the water every day.
Okay.
No, but I just mix it up. It's too much to keep them separated. And then fruits, you can wash fruits too. On the Sunday, I like to try and wash or chop fruit so that I can throw those into their lunches. Try to bake something, some kind of a muffin or a loaf or some kind of bites.
So you spend a day cooking?
Not a day.
Not a day.
Probably about 2.5 to 3 hours.
Okay.
On a Sunday.
And I love that.
And I make usually 2 main dishes, a salad, the raw vegetables, chop some fruit. It doesn't take a lot of time. Once you get a system going and a routine going, it doesn't take a lot of time.
Honestly, it's like any habit, right? If it's worth it to us to do this work, it really makes planning and getting that meal on the table so much easier.
Oh, it makes the week so much easier
totally.
too.
So talk about kids' lunches.
Yeah.
What do you like putting into your kids' lunches? This is such a thing for parents.
Well, I always try to ensure that I've got all 3 macronutrients in their lunch. So fats, proteins, and a complex carbohydrate. The complex carb is usually quite easy to get in there. Most kids' lunches are packed with carbs, so it doesn't take a whole lot of effort to get that in, but that's usually in the form of whole grain crackers, or if they have a sandwich or a wrap, some kind of a whole grain wrap or sandwich. If they're having a thermos lunch, then it's usually quinoa in their chili or legumes. And then protein, so we do consume animal protein, so usually eggs or meat or fish, some type of protein food, and fat in the form of avocado or seeds. You can't send nuts to school, so you have to get creative with the fats, right?
Right.
My kids are a big fan of avocado chocolate puddings, so sometimes I'll make that in the morning and send it in a thermos or a cooler.
And do your kids, so you said that they're a fan of that pudding, and obviously I think that sounds great. Are they fans of eating this way? Is it just because they've always eaten this way that they're used to it? Like,
I have 3, and it really varies. My youngest is my pickiest, so he's challenging. I have to get a bit more creative with him, and his lunches are a bit more repetitive than with the other 2. They still like to have whatever's out there. You know, like they'll go to birthday parties and indulge in whatever they're feeding them at the parties, or with friends or grandparents. They eat some of the more common foods that are out there. So at home, I try to really keep it clean. I keep the junk food out, unless it's a special occasion, in which case I often, bake my own cake or source something that's a little bit healthier. And just try to keep as many whole natural foods in the house, so that they're eating healthy when they are at home, and it's in my control.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's such a thing. Out in the world, we can't always control what's happening.
Right.
But inside our own kitchen, we have all of the control.
Yeah. And then education is really key too. I think educating them is really, really important. So one of my kids is a teenager. He's 14 now, and you know how teenagers are. They like to go to the store and buy sugary treats and so on. So I just keep reminding him and fueling him with education. And he's got a good head on his shoulders. He doesn't always make the best choices, but when he makes a poor choice, he usually knows that he recognizes the symptoms of his choice afterward.
Oh my gosh, I love that you're really raising their awareness from a young age all the way up. Thank you so much, Natasha, for being with me today and for sharing your story, your wisdom, a day in your life, your fridge and your pantry. Be sure to connect with Natasha on the Natural Food Pantry page. It's on Facebook, so you can check them out there, and you can also go to naturalfoodpantry.ca. If you live in Ottawa, you will want to check out the various workshops and seminars happening at their 4 locations across the city. And if you live in the area, go to the Rogers Facebook page and comment why you need to win a $50 gift card to the Natural Food Pantry. We have 3 lucky winners. They'll be drawn at random, so head over there after the show. Coming up, we've got Globe and Mail has dubbed Korey Kealey a mompreneur, and when we come back, she's going to teach us her secrets to how she makes it all look easy in the kitchen. Back in a moment. Well, Korey Kealey is in the house. Korey is a busy wife, an entrepreneur, and a mom of 3, and somehow she all makes it look effortless. We want to know, how does she do it all? Well, you're in luck because she's here to share her secrets with us. Welcome, Korey. So happy to have you. I think we're going to start down here and work our way down.
Yes.
You're going to teach us all about your secrets of how you keep yourself cool, calm, and collected in the kitchen.
Okay, well, I have all kinds of different things that I think are of interest when we're trying to change our diet or our habits and stuff. So I was told I had food allergies, and you can't have this, that, and the other thing. And it's all great to find out, like, you can't have this, but then what does that look like when you go home and you have to then now change everything you are used to doing, either for yourself or someone else? So a lot of people have a problem with soda pop and sugar and fizzy drinks, and if you have to cut that out, or you choose to do that, or you don't want to drink like aspartame anymore, the Soda Stream is amazing.
It's amazing!
It's amazing for so many reasons. So I don't drink pop. I've never really drank pop, but I do love a spritzer of ice and lemon and lime.
Yes.
So this is a great way to wean yourself off of sugary drinks, and it's The other thing I love is that you're not wasting bottles. You can use your own, like I have reverse osmosis water, so it's filtered, so I know my water that's going in it.
Yep.
So it's a great hydration thing. So basically, do you want me to show you? We'll just go through
let's
it. So
do it.
basically, it comes with a bottle, and then you have it. This canister is on the inside.
Do you want me to help?
Yeah.
Because I'm on this side?
Yeah, put it in, push it in. Wait,
Oh,
you
it's
just
maybe
push-
not the same as mine at home.
No, it's a fancy one.
Okay, it is a fancy one. I have a very
Is it
basic
in?
model.
We're not going to be able to do it.
Okay.
Just because I can't see it. Anyways, it's really simple.
press
This just
the button.
pushes down and it becomes fizzy. So then the other thing that is the hot thing right now is no straws. But a lot of people are used to it. So I've had a glass straw forever and people make fun of me. But drinking your juice, your green juice and stuff, our thing is that it tastes better with a glass straw.
It
It's
really
delicious.
does.
And they come with these little pipe cleaner things that, that's one of the hassles is that, you drink your smoothie and this is with it and it's great. So that is a thing.
And it takes 2 seconds to clean it, I promise. Cause
It does.
Yeah. It's
and
not
then
something that takes time.
reusable mason jars, like I use these things for everything. I prefer the wide mouth because you can then put like a layered salad in there. You can put your juices in there, soup, whatever. And it's just easier to get at if you're using a fork than the skinnier ones.
When you do a layered salad, do you add the dressing right away or later?
Depends on if it's like a hearty one that can handle dressing. Like if I was doing a chickpea, pepper, onion, things that won't get all wilted, I would put the dressing right on it. But if you're doing lettuce and stuff like that, if you put the dressing on, it's going to become too soft. So depending on what you're doing.
What have we got here?
So vegetables. First of all, this bowl is massive. I don't know if that's like 2 full zucchinis in there and that I've spiralized. And so the hot trend the trend that I love is like the Mandy salad in Montreal. This is from there. I bought the bowls because I think they're fantastic.
They're gorgeous,
But
too.
you're only allowed to fill it up if it's filled with vegetables. You can't eat.
This is not a cereal bowl.
We can't eat our cereal or our pasta or any of those things.
Yeah.
But if you want a meal, a salad as a meal, put it in that big bowl and it feels very special. Spiralizer, again, people are trying to cut out gluten, and if you want pasta and you want all your things, and some of the substitute pastas are awful, let's face it, but these spiralizers are great. So you can spiralize a zucchini, carrots, what is this, a sweet potato.
What is that thing?
What is that
Do you
thing?
cook the sweet potato?
No, you can just do it raw.
Nice.
Peel it, do it raw, and then I don't love raw vegetables. I know a lot of people do, but I don't. So I would actually blanch both that, the zucchini and the sweet potato just a bit so that it's a little bit more tender.
And I love that you even mentioned that because some vegetables are actually more bioavailable when we do cook them a little bit.
Oh, I don't even know why I don't like
see?
it, but I don't.
There you go.
I like cooked.
Okay.
So then salad dressings are a thing. Oh, and that is why I brought this is my favorite thing ever, this juicer.
It's amazing.
Yeah, so I, like,
My
mine's almost
in-laws
worn out.
have this.
Yeah.
This is theirs, yes.
Lemons, limes, whatever. So this salad dressing is my favorite. It's one that Blue Cactus, I worked there 25 years ago, but it was their honey lime vinaigrette. And that's all it is fresh lime juice, equal amounts, fresh lime juice, honey, and olive oil. That is it. It's fantastic. You put that on your salad, you're gonna be happy.
Yum.
And that is just all good stuff.
Ah.
I know honey is a sweetener, but
Yeah, but you don't use
no.
a ton of it, and it's
No.
homemade, and it's delicious, and there are lots of amazing
Yes.
benefits to eating honey. So
And this salad container I got at Farm Boy, I think. I think it's the one they actually use on their salad bar. But you can seal it really well and then shake it.
Nice.
So it is one of those things, if you have homemade dressings already made,
Yeah.
let's say you have this, an Asian, and a balsamic.
Yep.
You're going to very easily have a salad because that's one of the barriers.
I
It's
love
gone.
that. And I love that you even mentioned the dressing because a lot of people think, oh, I shouldn't eat the dressing. It's like, if you're not going to eat the salad because you won't have the fattening dressings that are out there, the ones that are high in sugar, why not, let's not use
I'm
that
not
as
that
an excuse.
person. Like, I like extra dressing and like put the mayo.
And you get all those veggies in,
I know,
right?
it's making me eat my vegetables.
That's
I
right.
love it. Okay, so knife sharpener. This is I don't know, I got it at CA Parity. You can have the best knives in the world, and if they're dull, they're of no use to you. And people, I understand, like, sometimes when I'm chopping a lot, and I do a lot of it, and I feel like I'm getting frustrated, I realize, oh, my knife is just dull. So these are just so simple. You just pull it out 5 times like this, and you should be able to cut through a tomato very simply. Okay, so that's how you should know. Like, see how that just went like that?
Love that.
If you're going like this to get through your tomato, you have a problem. You just have
honestly.
to sharpen. This isn't expensive. like, I don't even know how much it is, like $20 or something. So find a knife sharpener, a good one.
And they say that people cut themselves more with dull knives than with, because they're hacking away.
It slips.
And then it just ruins that, you would never get that lovely slice of tomato or tomato.
Tomato. And this I was so happy to bring, actually, because I was thinking, one of the things in our environment is that you want it to look pretty and to make you happy. I spent a ton of time in my kitchen. Yes. I just renovated.
You did.
And this is my new countertop.
Gorgeous. Tell us the material.
I was so excited. And it's a Canadian company. It's this Hans Stone out of Montreal. It's quartz. So I had granite before, but my granite was a dark gray.
Okay.
And I've had it for 18 years. Beautiful, but so I was really excited when I went counter shopping to see all these new beautiful options, and I wanted white. And you can't really get a real white in a natural stone like a marble. So I was really excited to find this one. It has all this beautiful marbling to it. So that is gorgeous. A good thing. So that is one of my favorite things.
Is it non-porous? Is that?
It's non-porous.
Beautiful.
It has a long warranty on it. It doesn't really stain. Like, everything comes out of it. I was a bit nervous. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, did you see the tomato? No problem.
But now you just cut right onto that. Are you cutting onto your
No, I wouldn't cut on it. It is mark resistant, but I don't think you should ever cut on your countertop.
No.
Use a cutting board. I didn't bring one, but it is one of my favorite things too.
Cutting boards. Those are good to have.
A really good blender is your friend. They are a big investment. I've had a Blend Tech. I had that first, and I really liked it. I basically went to Costco, and whichever one they had, I was buying that day, and it happened to be a Blend Tech, because I was like, I am getting on this smoothie bandwagon.
Yes.
I wore that out, and then I was really excited to get a Vitamix. And it was a lot, but it does things like when you're talking about dairy replacements.
Yeah.
Cashew cream, cashew milk, all those things are so good. And you can make your own in your blender in no time. And it also has this thing, like
the tamper.
Tamper plunger or whatever. So that is one of the things. So when you're wanting to make something that's really, really thick, you don't want to add too much extra liquid. This you can push down, it doesn't hit the blade, and it really gives you the ability to make something super creamy and delicious.
So tell us, how long would it take you to make this turn cashews into cashew milk using the Vitamix blender?
Oh, 30 seconds.
Wow.
Oh no, and so what I do, it's my favorite thing, actually my friends don't, I don't know why they can't do it, but I just do it for them, is raw cashews, dates, cinnamon, and a little bit of maple syrup. Blend it up, and I put that in my coffee. It is fantastic.
Yum.
It's so good.
Yum.
It's my favorite thing.
Okay, we're going to have to go to kitchenconnected.com and hopefully find that creamer recipe.
Non-dairy stuff too. I always have a ton of coconut milk in my, and I get the full fat. I like it.
The only way to go is
I
the
love
full fat.
Now, I have a really nice juicer. I bought it from a friend, so I would probably not have invested heavily in a juicer, but there are less expensive models, and they're great to get all kinds of things. So this is my favorite thing. My husband and I'll make it. I got out of the habit, but I'm back. Turmeric is, I don't know, it's magic from everything I've heard, but
it's so good for decreasing inflammation. Yes.
And it's like, can you see how my blender is a little bit tinted?
Yeah.
It's because I made butter chicken sauce in there, and the turmeric stained it. So it has this ability, if anything's going to stain you, it's going to be this. So basically, this root of turmeric, some ginger root, and a green apple. About an inch, and one. And it makes this much juice, and it is such a fantastic elixir. I don't know, it feels good in your tummy, gives you a little kick.
When do you drink this?
Whenever I make it.
Okay, so like it can just be like in an afternoon, just for a little kick.
It's when I feel like I want to get some like good energy in me, and like look at the color of this. That's all it is.
Gorgeous.
It's an inch and an apple.
Are we going to taste this?
You should taste it. I do. Maybe I should. So amazing. I often will put a little bit of olive oil and like just a bit, and black pepper, because I believe turmeric is activated with oil and pepper. So just to make it that much better.
Yes.
So juicer, if you want to.
This is a massive juicer.
I know.
How do you store this guy?
It comes apart. It's actually super. I just keep it in a drawer.
And easy to clean?
Super easy to clean.
What brand is this?
This is called Angel.
Okay.
Yep.
This is like the real deal. Is this a cold press? Is that?
It's a masticating one where it just kind of grinds it. Yeah, it doesn't heat up anything, so I think it keeps the nutrients really intact.
And then
my understanding.
Okay, yeah. And then do you use the pulp in baking or any?
So sometimes I'll put this into soup or stew.
Nice.
And especially the turmeric root, because that color still goes into everything. Like there's still good value in my mind. I hate throwing out anything, so things I wouldn't use would be like cucumber that's soggy and it would deteriorate too much. But you could absolutely throw that into a soup as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, use what you can. Oh, I had dates. I always have dates, and you were talking about sugar.
Yes.
This I put into my cashew milk, and if you look for the medjool date, it's the most.
These are from Costco. I know them well.
Caramel, they are like caramel.
They're delicious.
So, yeah, if you're craving some sugar, it's still sugar, but it's got the fiber and all that good stuff in it. It's
a low glycemic sweetener, and they all have a pit inside, so you'll want to get rid of that.
Yes.
I love smearing a little almond butter with a pinch of salt.
Yes.
It's the Himalayan salt, of course.
You can stuff them.
Yes.
Yeah, and then
Blue cheese.
slice them. Oh, blue cheese.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
We can be here all day.
Yeah. Oh, I was going to say turmeric you can get in powder too.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the ultimate cookbook for hockey families, because we have to get to that.
Okay.
So tell us about the book. What was the impetus for writing it? What is inside?
Well, hockey and busy life is in full swing right now for a lot of people. And
so you have kids in hockey.
I had 3 kids in competitive hockey.
Yeah.
And my friend Erin Phillips, who is married to Chris Phillips, was playing for the Ottawa Senators at the time. She had 3 kids in hockey. She played hockey herself, and then was obviously feeding an NHL player. And so she called me one day, it was this time, back to school, and she said, we have to write a cookbook. People are struggling. They don't know how to feed their families. They ask me all the time. I just want to put it in one place. She's like, but I can do the nutrition, but I can't cook. Or like, she doesn't love to cook. So anyways, we kind of teamed up, or we did team up. She wrote the first 48 pages are on nutrition around sports for kids. And then we have 25 recipes from like Steve Yzerman, who else? Chris Phillips, Chris Neal, Dan Boyle, like all the recipes that they ate growing up that their moms fed them, or that their
have to show
Bobby Ryan,
I don't know if it's
Richardson.
easy to see.
Yeah, that was
camera.
really fun. Oh, you can see my old countertops in there. We shot that all in my kitchen. Oh, and there's my pot. Yeah, it was a fun project.
Beautiful, beautiful book. Beautiful book.
Yeah, so that book it's just a little guideline for busy families. And you know what? The kids buy into it. They see that their favorite hockey player, they eat a smoothie before every game, then I want that smoothie,
Totally.
So the influencers have a great power.
You have a great story. I remember you were telling me a few years ago that a kid was saying that they went to sleep with their book under their pillow.
Oh, you remember that?
I remember that. That was so meaningful to me, because I thought that you're changing lives. That's really, really changing people's lives. And what's great about this book is you've got those old recipes, but you've also got the new nutrition. You really touch on hydration, the importance of sleep. Like, this is really a guide for people to live a really healthy lifestyle. But you've also got recipes in there that are not overly healthy. They're super delicious, but they all have some elements of nutrition and all, so many amazing benefits.
Those recipes, though, I think, because I had a problem a little bit with them. I'm like, well, are we really putting this in our cookbook? But that is a component of comfort, of tradition, things that you did with your family. So I think they have a place.
I love it. Well, if you are a coach, or if you know a coach and feel that your team would enjoy having this amazing cookbook, then head over to the Rogers Facebook page and comment below this episode why your team needs this resource, and one lucky team is going to be hooked up with 17 copies. Thank you to Korey Kealey for this, and for teaching us how we can get organized so we can enjoy our time in the kitchen so much more. When we come back, I'll share my final thoughts. Back in a moment. My mother always taught me that we are what we eat. Recently, I heard one of my favorite teachers, Michael Pollan, taking that metaphorical expression one step further. He said, our most profound engagement with the natural world happens on our plates, and that 3 times a day, we get to express our values through food. No matter how we choose to eat, I believe we can all agree that there is so much happening beneath the surface of our food choices. The way we use food speaks volumes about the way we feel about ourselves. We only get one body. And as they say, if we don't take care of the most precious gift we will ever receive, where else are we going to live? If you struggle with food or weight or body image, or you just want to develop a deeper connection with yourself, I encourage you to take a closer look at how food shows up in your life by paying closer attention to the foods you eat and the way you feel after eating them. Raising our awareness about the things we do and why we do them helps us deepen our relationship with the most important person in each of our lives, ourselves. Thank you to my guests Natasha Villeneuve and Korey Kealey for sharing their wisdom with us, and thank you for being here with me as we embark on this journey together. Until next week, I want you to remember one thing, that no matter where you are and no matter how it feels, you are never, ever alone. See you next week.